Good afternoon. This is Mitch Tarr, CEO of ZinMarketing.com, and today we are going to teach you how to ensure that you don't send out a bad email. And by bad email, I mean one with a broken link or a spelling mistake or a formatting error or something that just makes you look bad. So we're going to do something really fun and interesting today. This is going to be a real live exercise in creating and sending out an email message. So I'll show you exactly how we do it, and I'll show you a process that you can use to essentially give you the best possible chance of correcting and catching mistakes, or catching and then correcting mistakes before they get out the door. So I'll walk you through exactly how to properly test and proof your email campaigns to make sure that you don't make any really bad errors. Typos, broken links, formatting errors, those things can make you look bad. We don't want that to happen. And so we've created and we use internally a checklist, and we go through this checklist for every single email that we send out, and it greatly reduces the chances for errors to creep into the system and have you make a mistake. So because this is live, this is going to be quite interesting. If things work the way they're supposed to, I won't say anything, and if something doesn't work the way it's supposed to, I'll go, that isn't doing what it's supposed to do. So you'll know the difference between the two. So I'm just going to basically start out with an email platform. We're using, for today's demonstration, I'm going to use iContact, and this process will work for you whether you're in iContact or Aweber or MailChimp or Constant Contact or Infusionsoft or Vertical Response or Get Response, or you name it. The process is basically the same. It might look a little different to you because your system is different, but the steps in the checklist are still the same, just like you have different airplanes, but you still go through the same checklist to get it off the ground. And everything starts for us in a text document. So we create subject lines and create copy in a text document. So rather than have you watch me type, which is going to be really painful, I'll just cut and paste from this message for purposes of today's sending out and checking our message for quality. So I'll start a new message here, get one going. Apologize for response time if it takes a few seconds. And let's see. So because I'm cutting and pasting, you won't have to watch me type. And the body copy, I'm just going to use a really short sample. It's also not very fancy formatted. There's nothing formatted about this. It's really pretty basic. A couple of things to note: we are going to send a link and do a link check to show you how that can work. So I'll just make sure that we have a link there. And you see right here, we're inserting people's email address in this message. So there is a variable here. And I'll show you why that's important in a minute when we get to the check. So very first thing on the checklist is to do a spell check. And don't skip this step, because guaranteed, if you don't do a spell check, that's when you will find something that you will want to wish the spell check had caught for you. So something I can see right away is ZinMarketing. When we spell it, we always have the capital M there. So spell check arguably helped me to catch that. It's not going to save you from bad grammar or a word that isn't what it's supposed to be, but spell checks, just make sure that's the first thing on your checklist. Now, most systems have an internal testing step, and we're going to send it from the test platform first. And so let's see who's going to get it. I've got a bunch of email addresses here that I use for testing. So I'll send it to my Hotmail account first. And this could be, so this very first step, I'm sending the test system. I haven't delivered the message yet. I'm just sending it in the test system. And you can see Outlook says it's got one message there. I'm thinking that's the one I just sent. And I do this step first because I want to I don't like the preview. There is a preview capability that you can see the way the message is going to look, but I just don't bother with the preview because I don't trust that it's always going to look this way. I want to see it actually and truly delivered. So here it is in the test system. It's in Hotmail, now Outlook, and it shows here this is what it's going to look like when it's delivered. It's got a link in it. So when I get to this stage, what I do is I stop, take a deep breath, and I read every single word. I basically do my proofing here and make sure that it says what it's supposed to say. The words are right. if there's times and dates in it, I want to make sure that the times and dates are right. Quite often, something like that can slip through the cracks. You want to read it for facts. You want to read it for you just want to make sure that it's correct. So send it through the internal test first. And I can see here it says get your most challenging email market questions answered. So I made a mistake there, which is something that I want to correct. Oh, and I put myself somewhere I didn't want to be. So that's something that I want to correct, and that kind of basically gives me the basic concept that this worked for me. So now I go back here and I say, yeah, I made a mistake there. I better fix that. And now it's ready for the full test. And by full test, what I mean is we're going to actually use the production sending platform. It's going to go through the real servers to a test list that we have called test list. So what we do is we set up a test list in all of our accounts, and when we're sending, we're going to send it through the real system to test it. And the reason that we do this is two things. One of them is I like to see if any of the platforms, any of the software packages grab it and throw it into spam folder. Now there's software packages that you can use to simulate this and to pre-test, but I sort of like to do it real time because I like to know if this message, based on my sending reputation, is really going to get caught. And you can see here's the names on our test list, and I just kind of send it to different things. I've got an AOL account. I check it in the Mac mail, check it through Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo. That's just a sampling of the different places that we take a look at it. We take a look at it on an iPhone. We take a look at it on a tablet. We just want to see what the message looks like in the way that all of your customers would see it. So we're actually sending this system, and we want to make sure that the variables get merged as well. So it's important when we're doing this live, if we're using a variable merge, we can verify, yep, this actually worked. So part of the checklist process absolutely involves making sure that you go through a real live send, not just sending it through the test system like we did earlier when we caught that first mistake. Now, something I should point out, anywhere along this process, if you catch a mistake or if somebody comes to you last minute and says, oh, I've got to rechange things, you go back to the beginning and do the steps all again. Once again, guaranteed, if you're at the very end of this process and somebody says, oh, can you just change this one thing? There's a chance, sometimes it's a small chance and sometimes it's a really big chance, that the little edit that you're about to make is going to blow something up, especially if you have complicated formatting or if you have your carriage returns or line lengths set at a certain side, or if you have lots of imaging. Depending on what you do, that is going to have an impact on the message. So always, 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 even if you're changing one little thing, go back to the beginning of the process and go through the checklist again. Now, it sounds like more work. It is more work, but you are going to catch things sooner rather than later if you do that. So let's see, message was sent. So it looks like we've got some messages sent. So we pop into Hotmail and let's see, here's the new one. And so I'm looking at this message, and something I want to do is I just want to verify. I'll go take a look at the message itself. So I verify the from address. Always want to take a look at that and make sure it still is what it's supposed to be. Even if you never think you're going to change it and you never change it, always take a look at it and make sure it's the right thing. I take a look at the first line. I read the message. It looks okay. Read our free report. I do a link check. I click on the link and make sure that it goes somewhere. So this goes to a page where it's supposed to go, so that's good. And then I go back to my message. We're sending it to your email address, and it lists the email address there. That works. So this message is fine. I don't need to do anything to it. I would say perfect. Don't need to bother with this message. And I'll take a look at it in Gmail. Here's how my Gmail readers will see it. In this case, my message went straight to the inbox. It didn't go into the promotions tab. That's a good thing. Take a look at the subject line, and I always like to look and see in the preview pane what it says here. We talk a lot about this in the course, but you probably know that I really don't like to see click here to see it on a web browser. Anything other than a real piece of copy that matches your subject line is the wrong thing to put there. So that's just a little bit of, and I'll take a look at the message itself, see how it looks. Yeah, it looks okay. Is my link still going to work? Yeah, it's fine. I know that that's not going to be a problem. Link works good. So, that's all good. Where else on my list did it go? Did it go to my AOL folder? No, AOL doesn't have it yet. How about Yahoo? Did Yahoo pick it up yet? And yeah, there it is from Yahoo. So again, I look at it. I see in Yahoo, there's the subject line. Take a look at the message. Looks the way it's supposed to look. Link check. Not necessary to do the link check a ton of times, but I got a pretty high level of confidence now that this message is correct and it's ready to send. So that is the process, and I'll just review it for you. There's a PDF file that's attached to this this page that you can download that has this in it, but I'll just really summarize it for you again, that these are the things you want to check before you send it out. First of all, you go and create a message in a text file. Read it there. Make sure it's as correct as it can be there. When you copy and paste it into your email system, before you send it to yourself, run the spell check. Once you've run the spell check, send it through the internal test system and take a look for formatting, take a look for the layout, take a look for the spelling, make sure that the link looks okay. Just basically read it as carefully as possible. This is where you do your real eagle-eyed proofing. You want to stop and read as carefully as possible. Then you go back into the system and send it to your test list. So you always have a test list in there, and you seed it with your corporate accounts, your personal accounts, different places, so you can see exactly what's going to happen to the message in the system. And you want to send it through the system, because if you're merging variables or if somebody's spam filter is going to grab it, you'll see it there. So send the production through. Now, if you're doing link tracking, you can also, this is the point where you need to double check that your links are actually tracking codes the way that they're supposed to. So if your links are passing codes through to your tracking system, this is the place where you can verify that they're working. So you hate to send out an entire message and find out later that your link tracking wasn't working. And that's basically the steps in the process. So just two really important things to remember. If you set something like this up, make sure you do it every single time. It's going to get tempting to skip steps, and you'll be in a rush sometimes. You'll want to skip steps. It's happened to us. I guarantee it. When you skip the step, that's the day that something will sneak past you. It just, Murphy's Law just works. The other thing is if you make a change in the middle of it, if you're making an edit, if something comes up that you do have to fix it, or if somebody rushes in last minute and goes, oh, wait a second, we had changed our minds. This is really only a 20-minute thing instead of a 10-minute thing. So just make this one edit. Go back to the beginning and redo all the steps. And it takes a little bit of extra effort. But again, that's the one time that you're going to catch when the formatting blows up your message. So hopefully that has been helpful to you. We've learned this after sending over 2,400 different email campaigns, 105 different industries. We've used maybe a dozen different emailing platforms. We follow the same process every single time. Hopefully that has been helpful. Said that. Have a great day, and we'll see you at the next video.